Breaking news in the last half hour as a judge has ruled that the two teenagers convicted of killing 16-year-old Brianna Ghey will be named when they're sentenced on the 2nd of February next year. Their identities have been kept anonymous so far due to their age. They were both found guilty yesterday of murdering Brianna when they were 15 years of age. They're both now 16. So the judge has made this decision because she believes it is in the public interest, Denise. Do you think it is in the public interest?
I don't know, you know. It's a real tricky one. I think they're old enough. You know, I have no sympathy or empathy with these two people whatsoever. I think their punishment should be to be put in a room with the family of Brianna. That should be their punishment, whatever the outcome, but that won't happen. They say it's in the public interest. I don't know. The only people that I think of when they do name them is the family of the perpetrators. These awful people who absolutely knew what they were doing. I mean, you know, horrendous. They may have siblings who are younger, perhaps older, whatever, whose lives have taken a completely different path. And it will be very, very difficult for them. But then subsequently, I say that, but then again, you might say, well, should we name any murderer? Because I do think that they are old enough. And also, and I think that we share this view, is that sometimes the perpetrators are elevated to a status and we forget about the survivors.
Yeah.
So
there is that danger. They become infamous, don't they?
Just to say that the judge said she accepted the ruling would cause distress to the families, but the purpose of the order was not to protect family members of the defendants, the perpetrators, as you say. What do you think, Jane?
It's a difficult one, really, because I don't really see what it achieves. I understand the public interest, as in the public are interested. If you look at what they did and how they behaved, and they've not shown any remorse at all, and it was a very, very brutal, senseless killing, then I understand why people would say, well, we want to know who these people are. But then moving forward, that then means that when they do come out of prison, they'll have to go into the witness protection programme, so then the state will have to, you know, finance that for the rest of their lives, etc., etc. So I don't know. It's the media that appealed to the judge.
It was a press application.
You know, they will have tons of background on these killers ready to go. And
as a journalist, how do you feel, though, as opposed to as a person?
Well, I understand why the media want it out there, and you know, and I agree with you in a way. I think 15-year-olds today are not like 15-year-olds back in the day.
Oh, they knew what they were doing.
And, yeah, they absolutely knew what they were doing, and, you know, part of the evidence was that they had tried to kill her before.
Yeah. But it's not just the names, though, it's all the detail. You know, like the text messages, the notes, the plans made. I don't want that level of detail on any of it because I think it's traumatising, it triggers people.
But you can choose not to read it.
But, you know, when it pops up on your feed on social media and you think, well, I wish I hadn't seen that, I wish I hadn't read that.
Yeah, I must admit, I agree with you, Katie. I do wonder about where we are going with this. I mean, certainly in one of our national newspapers, you know, they are advertising their podcast where we can get all the details and we hear the full story. And I just wonder if we're starting to blur the lines between fact and fiction. I mean, these are real lives that have been utterly devastated. The family of Brianna, utterly devastated. And God bless them, you know, they have extended empathy and compassion to the families of the perpetrators.
Which is another reason why I think it's a tricky thing to name
I also think
the killers, because the parents, they both come from, as the judge has said,
stable families.
Backgrounds. You know, those parents now will be targeted.
Also, I think, remember, in this country, life imprisonment isn't the rest of somebody's life. So when they do come back out, then they will be renamed with a new identity at the expense of the public. So, I mean, the difference here you have is, you know, we've said this many times, you have social media now, because even when Jack the Ripper was doing his crimes, newspapers had all the detail in. You know, it's part of knowing the way that people's minds work and the detail, and it's about being a matter of record. But, of course, now, as you say, you're just getting it on your phone as you're and for some
at home
sick people, this is the only thing they've done with their lives. They become infamous for this and they revel in it. So why should we...
And these two young people who committed this horrific crime, apparently, at least one of them was obsessed with serial killers, obsessed with these brutal details. And my goodness, there is enough information out there for people to utterly immerse themselves in it. And you just wonder where we're going with it. Anyway.